Welcome to the second episode of Nature Positivity, the podcast where we chat about all the fun things that happen in the natural world over a cup of tea. I'm Holly.
And I'm Caris, and for this amazing episode, we're joined by Laura Thomas, a wildlife conservationist, invertebrate lover, and nature nerd.
This insect-themed episode has come at just the right time, as between the 15th of July and 7th of August, it is the Big Butterfly Count.
It really helps scientists to understand more about the lives and distributions of these beautiful insects, so you can contribute to insect research by taking part. Do you have a cup of tea or a hot drink? I've got a lemon and ginger tea.
I also have a cup of tea.
Nice.
Hello, my name is Laura Thomas and I'm a wildlife, ecology and conservation scientist, and I'm all about invertebrates. I love them and I want other people to love them too.
Let's start with the big question. What is your favourite insect species and why?
Oh, that is a very hard question because they're all so cool. Can I have two?
Why not?
Cool. They're both beetles because beetles are so cool and there's so many of them, so, gotta give them their limelight. One of them is in the UK and it's a cockchafer beetle. And I absolutely love them because they've got cute little furry faces and big eyes and a little antenna that fan out, and it is adorable. I'm yet to see a live one, but one day I'm holding out for it. And then the other one would be a Ugandan flower beetle, and they're big chunky boys. They're maybe the size of a small fist. And they're just so cute. They come in loads of different colours, like purple and blue, green, orange, red. And they have cute little mouth parts, and they're just adorable, really.
Do you have a favourite insect, Caris?
Anything that flies, to be honest. Probably dragonflies. And with the dragonflies, maybe I'd have to say the four-spotted chaser, because it was the first one I learnt to identify. And so it has a special place in my heart. What about you, Holly?
Can it be something that I've not seen before in real life, but I really want to see?
Yep.
So I really want to see a bee fly. I just think they're the cutest things. Fluffy, with their little proboscis nose thing.
I can't believe you've never seen one. They're so cute.
Mm-hmm.
When I first saw one, I thought it was a bee. And then I tried to catch it and it was too fast for a bee. But then eventually when I caught it, I was like, you are not a bee, you are weird. And then found out it was a bee fly.
You heard it here first. Bee flies are weird, says Laura.
Weird, but in a good way. A good weird.
I agree.
If you have a favourite insect, be sure to let us know via our social media.
So, you've told us your favourite insects. Do you have a favourite insect find? So something that you've found?
Well, this might be cool to some people, but also might just be weird to others. In fact, it was only the other day I found a beetle larva just crawling across the pavement. And it was crawling in quite a weird way, so I was like, oh, I'll have a closer look. And then it was surrounded by ants that were trying to eat it, or I guess take it home to their nest. And it was just really weird, but also kind of cool, because it's just like this hunt just happening on the pavement on the way home. It was just really cool to watch. Though I did feel bad for the beetle larva, but the ants were really going for it.
Ants are so hench.
Yeah, they are. Speaking of hench ants, I saw one ant carry a whole entire bee, just pulling it across my table in the garden. That was very cool.
That's impressive.
So, where do you think your passion for wildlife and invertebrates started?
That is a very good question. Because to be honest, I have no clue. I asked myself this as well. I'd probably just go. When I was little, my parents didn't really tell me not to play with the bugs in the garden. So I would just pick up snails, put them on my arms, collect them in flower pots, put woodlice in jars and look at them for about a week. Probably wasn't the best thing to do for their welfare, but I was 6 and I didn't really know any better. And yeah, it probably just started from there. I just explored the garden when I was little, and my parents. Although my mum didn't let me have snails in the house, but that's fair. They didn't stop me from playing with them in the garden.
I feel like you might have a slight grudge about the snails in the house.
Yes. Because also I had a pet snail when I was little. Mm-hmm. She let me have it in an ice cream tub. I named it Zoe. It was great. I looked after it, cleaned it out every weekend, fed it scraps of veg, and then went on holiday, and she said I couldn't take the snail on holiday with me, and I had to empty it out into the garden. And that was that. I never saw my pet snail again.
That's so heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It was. I could take it on holiday, it would have been fine. Alas.
Do you have a favourite wildlife memory or moment?
Ooh, I might have to think about this one for a while.
Okay, we'll come back to it. Do you, Karis?
Probably when I saw newts in the pond that I built during lockdown. It was just like the best feeling, because I feel like whenever you build a pond, that's like your goal. And so to know that I'd create this habitat out of like just grass was like a really good feeling. So yeah, that's probably mine. What about you, Holly?
Probably when I went on holiday with my family to the Isle of Skye, I stayed in a little cottage by a loch, and we were told that we might see otters, but shouldn't get our hopes up. They might come and they might not. And then it was maybe we'd been there one day, and in the morning they came and they swam, and we saw them, and one even brought a fish up onto the stones which were right outside. Saw them really close up, which was quite magical.
Oh my gosh. That sounds amazing.
It was pretty special.
Wow.
Oh, I have got my special wildlife moment. I think it'd probably be when I went to Sri Lanka and I was feeding baby turtles in a turtle sanctuary.
Oh, that's so cute. Do you want to tell us a bit about your experience there?
Yeah, I volunteered in Sri Lanka for about 2 weeks. It wasn't specifically with invertebrates, it was just with wildlife in general. And it was just doing quite a few different things. We did work with a turtle sanctuary, and we'd give the turtles baths, feed baby turtles, and if there were any turtles that were going to be released, we'd pick them up and carry them into the sea, which is very cute. We also did beach cleanups. That was really funky because we got to sit on a Sri Lankan boat and have somebody row us around the rivers as we cleaned up the litter. That was really cool. And then we also went to a tree nursery, and it was there that I think there was like a king cobra or some kind of snake. I can't remember the exact species. But then there was a man who was just so calm and so skilled with a little snake hook, and he just put a snake in a bag, no fears, and then just walked off with a snake in a bag.
That's amazing. I suppose if he's local to the area, then he's kind of used to it a bit more than we are.
Yeah, I think they quite often like have snakes in their houses. Snake men are regular people to call up.
You volunteer at Bristol Zoo. What do you do there? Is it the insects that you work with?
Invertebrates. Yeah. Well, it's a long day, I can tell you that. I just came back from the zoo today about 2 hours ago, and I'm knackered. It was long. But yeah, my role mainly entails just feeding the animals, making sure they're alive, making sure the humidity is up in their enclosures, or redesigning enclosures and making them look funky for visitors and that kind of thing. Or sometimes I get to work with their breeding programs for their conservation work. And that's pretty cool.
Do you have a favourite species there?
Yes, I definitely do. I think it's the weaver ants. They're very, very, very cool. They're a bit scary because they will bite you and then spray formic acid into the wound. It's a bit fun. But they're just incredibly good at working together. They build their nests, instead of building them underground, like the ones we have in the UK, they build them overground, and they basically just get loads of bits of dead animal, soil, twigs, leaves, everything, and then they'll use their nymph silk, because basically the little baby ants will have silk coming out of their butt, and they'll use that to glue their nest together, which I think is so cool.
That's crazy.
I love it.
You mentioned before then that you specifically work with invertebrates and not just insects. What's the difference?
Insects are ones with 6 legs. Invertebrate is basically anything that doesn't have a backbone, which classes worms, slugs, spiders, scorpions.
Octopuses, squids.
corals, but then insects are your six-legged friends.
Do you have a favourite invertebrate that is not an insect?
Oh, I'd probably go with an Indian social spider. Their name is social spiders, and they're called social spiders because they are social. They don't live alone. They live in like one massive web, all of them together. And it's great. So they'll basically just have a tree, and then the whole tree will be just covered in web.
Are spiders normally solitary then?
Yeah.
A lot of people, when referring to insects, just say bugs. Do you know what the actual difference is?
Yeah, this is a very good question actually, because funny enough, at Bristol Zoo, Bug World is called Bug World, but there's only one actual true bug in Bug World, which I find quite funny, considering they've got like, I don't know, only like 50 species and only one bug. So insects don't have straw-like mouth parts, but bugs do. So if it's got a straw for a mouth, it's a bug.
So a bug is just a type of insect.
Yeah.
Can you give us an example of a bug that we might know?
So actually, even though butterflies have big straws, they're not bugs. But aphids are bugs. Bed bugs, water bugs, stink bugs. They tend to have bug in their name if they are a bug.
That's quite helpful.
Yeah. All bugs are insects, but not all insects are bugs.
So there are many invertebrates and insects that people are scared of. Maybe you could choose one and try and convince people, show people that they are actually cool and not to be feared.
Okay. I'm going to go with spiders.
Shock horror.
Yeah. But spiders, okay, I'm here to tell you about spiders. Spiders are very cool. Number one, they're really helpful. In your home, they're going to be eating all those flies, and all those flies carrying disease, eating your food. Fun fact, when they eat your food, they throw up their stomach acid it, digest outside their body, and then flies are cool too. I'm not doing any favours, but spiders will eat those flies in your home, so you don't have to worry about them. You can have a little pet, they'll just sit in the corner, all happy, and eat the flies. Plus, they're incredibly cute. They have the most adorable eyes. They may have like 8 of them, but they just want to love you. Just want to keep your house clean. Be your friend. I think there was a video, or it was like a spider YouTube channel that went viral quite a few years ago. It was like Lucas the Spider or something like that. And that spider was so cute. And that's exactly what spiders are like in real life. Just real cute.
Spiders are our friends, not our enemies.
Yeah.
Very true.
Let them in. Give them a nice warm home.
Give them a little blanket so they can be all snuggled up with their 8 eyes.
A small plate of flies to feast on.
Yeah. Their way of paying rent is cleaning up your house of flies.
Okay, I think you might be convincing me.
Yeah, good enough for me.
You're also very active on Instagram too, sharing all kinds of wildlife content. So let's talk a little bit about that. What made you want to start sharing all of your cool finds?
Wow. I just love them so much. And I couldn't hold my feelings in. I needed an outlet for all of my feelings. So I started an Instagram. My dad encouraged me to do it. He's very good at getting me to do things when I'm like, I'm not sure about it. But he's like, no, do it. So I did it. And it's great because now whenever I get really excited about a bug, I can just film myself on my stories being like, look at this new cool bug I found. Or post a picture about it or whatever. That's good fun.
How do you go about trying to identify insects that you find?
I use 2 things. One of them is called iNaturalist and the other one is Nature Spot. And they're both incredibly useful. So iNaturalist is an app that you can download on your phone, and then I'll just like go outside, take a picture of a bug or plant or whatever. In fact, I think you can even record sounds, or you can even upload videos or photos that you've taken previously. You don't have to go out and take it on the app straight away. But it basically uses AI to identify the insect or animal or whatever, which I think is incredibly cool. It might not always get it correct, so you can get as close as you can. And then there's a bunch of people who are all experts identifying stuff, and they will verify your picture and identify it correctly if it's been identified incorrectly, or agree with the identification of the app. I've learnt a lot about different species using iNaturalist.
That's really cool how there's just experts waiting to help you out.
whenever I take a picture of something, I don't know what it is, I'm always checking back every couple of days to see if someone's identified it yet. And also, the pictures on there, when they get identified by 2 or 3 people who are experts, it gets a research grade standard, which basically means that observation, that picture can be used for conservation data, which I think is pretty cool.
That is really cool. So go out, take a picture of an insect, find out what it is from an expert, and it might get put into some research. That's really cool.
And all you have to do is use our naturalist. That's it. And then the other one is Nature Spot. That one's a bit harder to use if you have nowhere to start, because you in general need to know at least the family or the genus to look, because it's basically just a photo store of insects pretty much. And I think possibly invertebrates, it might just be insects though, but it's just got pictures of so many different species, and I just tend to scroll through all the pictures till I find the one that looks like the one I found. And then it has a handy little camera picture in the top corner, and it's either green, orange or red. Green is, this is really easy to identify. Orange is, this is a bit hard, and red is, you're probably going to need a microscope and an ID card to identify this, or an expert, because this is challenging. So in general, if I see the picture, I can know how likely it is that it is that species just by looking at the camera picture. And I find it pretty cool. Both of those seem to help me identify most things, which is pretty cool.
This is not Spawn, by the way. Just thought I'd let you know.
Just love the app!
Do you have any advice for people wanting to go out and find insects? Like, where do you find them?
You can find them anywhere. If you've got a back garden, turn over some logs, have a look. I mean, I've got a bush in my garden just full of flowers. And if you go out and when it's really warm and sunny and there's sun shining on it, you can probably find a wide variety of insects on the bush. Yeah, just look under stones, look under logs. They'll be out there waiting to be found and loved. Or set up a moth trap at night time. Just use a torch and a sheet and see what comes.
Can you do that without a license?
Yes, you can. It's just because I just use my washing line. I tie my torches to the washing line, hang a bedsheet over, turn the torches on. Because that way the moths don't get trapped. They just land on the sheet because they're not in the light, and then you can just look at them. So you do have to be there whilst the sheet's out, otherwise they just fly away. But it's a good way to appreciate them.
You adopted a moth maybe a couple of months ago. What happened?
Well, I think I was taking the bins out, and then I came in and felt something squishy under my foot. And so lifted my foot. Thankfully, I didn't put my foot down too hard when I felt something squishy. And then it felt like a slug, but then I realised it was a caterpillar. And I kind of felt really bad because I just stepped on it. So I thought, I know, I'll look after him, make sure he's okay. So that's what I did. Popped him in a little pot with some kitchen roll and some bramble. Because I identified it, and it was a Angleshades moth. So I had a look at what they eat, and they ate bramble. So that was perfect. Had some in the back garden. Although it didn't really eat much of it because it was ready to pupate. So I think it did a big poo and then pupated a couple of days later. Well, and I waited about 20 days for it to emerge, and when it finally did, it didn't do very well. It emerged overnight, and I think I put too many sticks on the kitchen roll, so it couldn't get above the kitchen roll and let its wings go out fully. So it didn't come out of its cocoon in a successful way, and I felt really bad. And then I looked after it for a couple of days, and then it died, and I was really sad. But now I've learned, because I googled it, and apparently they'll just pupate on the side of a tub, and they don't need anything to hide under.
Sounds like you underestimated them there. They're quite impressive if they can just pupate on the side of a tub.
Yeah, they're very cool.
Do you have a favourite moth find, other than your Angleshades caterpillar?
Favourite moth?
All of them.
Yeah, all of the moths. Because I've seen lots of moths, and they're all really, really cool. I've seen a green pug one, which I really like because it's incredibly well camouflaged. It's like its wings are like golden green flecked, and then when it's on a tree with its wings out, you can barely just tell it's there. And when I saw it, I was just so impressed. I was just like, oh, you are good at hiding. And I've also seen an olive pearl moth that lives up to its name of being a pearl because it just looks so elegant. I've also seen a box tree moth, and they look really cool. Elephant hawk moths are really cool.
You don't have to pick one, that's okay. I think I've seen pictures of them. I've never actually seen one in real life, but they're like pink moths. They're so cute. I think there's like a ridiculous amount of moth species as well compared to butterflies.
I've heard that if you want to identify a new species and name it, moths are the ones to go for because there's so many that people don't know what they are.
Oh, maybe we'll have to go and find one and name it after this podcast.
Oh, okay. Nature Positivitea.
Yep, that's the one.
Sounds good to me.
Can I ask you a question?
Ooh, being put in the hot seat, I'm scared.
If you could name any species, anything, what would you go with?
Go with the classic, name it after my name.
Oh my god, is that a kingfisher?
Slight tangent.
I've just seen 2 kingfishers out the window.
Wow, it's a good tangent.
That was so cool. I just saw this flash of blue and I looked outside and it was just a kingfisher sat there. And then there was a second one and they were flying around together and now they're gone and I can't see them anymore. But that was so cool. Okay, kingfishers, I'd rename them to the coolest bird ever. There you go, there's my answer.
Nice. What are you, Holly?
This is a very hard question. It's the kind of question that you would think you'd never have to answer because it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
I do have a soft spot for small mammals.
Yeah.
So some sort of small mammal. A new species of dormouse has been discovered.
Newest Dormouse.
That's a good one.
What if it's found under like a holly bush? You could call it like holly dormouse.
Dormouse.
Holly Dormouse. I think if I was gonna name a new species, I'd go with a bee. And they're already bombus for their genus. So I think I like that. So I think I'd add for their species, I'd call it pompous. Just because then you can say bombus pompous.
I love that.
I like that a lot. I can tell you've thought about that a lot.
I have.
You dream about it every day.
Yeah, waiting for the moment to be asked.
Yeah. But it's going to have to be a bumblebee species, because otherwise I can't call it bombus.
Got one more insect question for you. If you could be any insect, what would you be and why?
You have over 925,000 species to choose from.
Yeah! Talk about tough.
And to think it's unbelievable that there are so many insect species that are yet to be discovered. Gotta get the puns in there.
Nice. Oh, I feel like I'm going to offend whatever insect I don't choose.
There's quite a lot to offend.
It's a very serious question.
It is. It is. I'm probably going to go with, this is going to be a bit of a soppy answer, but I'm going to go with a Simondoa cave roach because they are really cute little cockroaches that are extinct in the wild. And if I was one, or if at least I was conscious, I could think like I can now, not as a cockroach would, and I knew that I was extinct in the wild, then I think I'd escape from whatever zoo or pet home that I was in, and I would find my way back home, and then I'd breed. I'd make sure I was a female and I was pregnant when I left, so that then I could arrive in the wild and then give birth to lots of babies and be not extinct in the wild anymore.
That's a very nice answer. Doing your bit for conservation as an insect.
Yeah.
And with that, I think it's time to move on to our nature highlights of the week.
So here on Nature Positivity, we like to end our episodes with our nature highlights of the week. Do you have a nature highlight of the week, Laura?
Because it's been really hot recently, I've got some flower pot saucers, and I filled them with water and put a couple of stones in them so that they'll stay on the ground. And I just put them outside, and it's been really nice to see little birds come and drink from them. And it's just like, oh, I put that outside and they're drinking from it. I helped a little bit. I helped that bird quench its thirst.
What about you, Holly?
Mine is also a bird one. So every year in my garden, we get starlings come and feed on our bird feeders. And it's around this time of year. So over the past week or so, they've come in their numbers. Quite a few of them come feed on the bird feeders. And, you know, starlings are so pretty. It's just lovely to just sit and watch them all make their racket squawking. But, but yeah, it's been very nice to see them. What about you, Karis?
Well, I now have two, because I had one in mind and then one just happened. My first one was I saw my first marbled white butterfly of the year in Bath, and it was so nice. I saw them for the first time last year, and they're just one of my favourite species. They're just like a chessboard, essentially. Just imagine a chessboard on a butterfly wing, and that is your marbled white. And then the other one, seeing that kingfisher just now. It's like the third kingfisher I've ever seen, and there was two of them, so technically my third and fourth kingfishers. And they're just so bright and blue. So yeah, those are my two nature highlights.
I think that's a good place to end this episode. My cup of tea has all gone. I don't know about you two.
Yep, mine has been drank.
Indeed, same.
Thank you, Laura, for joining us on Nature Positivity.
Thank you very much for having me.
It has been very interesting to learn about your stories and all of the interesting insect facts that you have. We will put Laura's social media information in the description if you want to check out the cool insect photos that she has on there and what she gets up to next.
So next time we'll be joined by Alicia Hayden to find out about her wildlife art, poetry and filmmaking. So keep an eye out for our next episode and follow us on social media. You can find the details for our social media channels in the description of this episode, and keep an eye out for our next episode with Alicia. Thank you for listening to Nature Positivity.